The Capitol building of Washington, D.C. is going to witness the 47th presidential inaugural ceremony scheduled on 20th of January. The president elect Donald Trump is going to take a second presidential tenure. The president, who belongs to Republican Party, their party managed to garner the 312 votes against the Democrats 226 in the 538 member Congress. And this landslide victory, which is going to be a very unprecedented and different than other. But what is more interesting for the world is second tenure of Trump as a president. As many political scientists try to decipher and unearth the psychology of Mr. Trump, as far as Mr. Trump is concerned, and what we can learn or understand from his first tenure as a president of United States, he is known for outspoken, he is known for deal making. He believes in the winner will take all, not in win-win like approaches of deals. So this different altogether, the Trump's way of conduct compared to his predecessors make him a different kind of president or person in individual capacity. So in this short session, we'll try to delve upon and navigate the future course of action after Trump's as a president of United States, and that going to what ranges of ripple effect across the geopolitics of the globe, and which is must be understood for us from the point of our Indians view. And this is what in the news, that how will be the Donald Trump's second presidency going to be look like? Okay, first of all, we need to understand that how Trump going to respond to different speculations, and what are going to be his or his government's priority. The first of all, what we can say is that he's going to adopt again the America First doctrine. This is very important, and during his campaign, the electoral campaign, he made that America will be make great again. Is the slogan, the Make America Great Again. That is MAGA policy. So he'll be more emphasizing on the Americans will be at the center point of entire US policy, at the center of entire US policy, and all the bilateral as well as multilateral agreements or in the deals in which America will be kept in the center. This will going to happen in the second tenure president, as per as political scientists have observed. And that the next important about Trump's regime will be the bilateralism over multilateralism. Trump's first tenure, what we have observed that in that tenure, he more emphasized over bilateral relations like India, US, India, UK, India, Australia, India, or other than that, US, Australia, US, India, US, UK, and multilateral forums like United Nations, NATO. He almost underestimated these kind of multilateral forums, that these are of the old fashion or not for the US use. So that was a statement given by the Trump. And at the same time, rise of protectionism, as we have seen that the MAGA policy is one of the driving force for the Republican parties the electoral manifesto. And that's why protectionism, that means that one of the main thing which come into our mind should be the H1B visas. So these visa, which is for the highly skilled people outside of USA, means non-American citizens with highly skilled, their attributes, can apply for the visa to work in America, and with only 65,000 capping per year. So this is one of the important thing. And for yes, additional 20,000 for the people those are pursuing the higher education in the America. Uh, For them, 20,000 is separate reserved category or number of people those can be observed in America. But other 65,000 will be from the other parts of the world, including India, China, maybe Mexico, or maybe uh, Canada. And this is what the H1B visa, that is for the only for the high skilled people in the field of IT, finance, or others, and others will not be allowed to reside in USA or even apply for the other employment or job opportunities. So this is the protectionism. And next is climate policy and action at whole. So we have seen that the 2015 Paris Agreement, in which Trump outrightly rejected the idea of Paris Agreement, in which developed nations have to obliged with funding the underdeveloped or other needy nations as per the agreement, as well as there are financing methods, technology transfer, and others. So this Paris Agreement is what Trump withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, and that's and therefore US too. So climate policy in action again can be at hold. So this is one of the speculation by the political scientists across the globe. And the same time, he also economic uncertainties and global trades. He also like trans-Pacific partnership, about 11 nations, those signed this particular partnership, including USA, in which Asian countries and Canada, New Zealand, and Australia and Chile. These were the countries those signed a partnership of those, their geographic regions are the Pacific region. But Trump again, under his presidency, first presidency of the USA, uh, during his first tenure, he again kept in the back burner the idea of trans-Pacific partnership, which was actually the Obama administration's idea. So that maybe there are classes of some ideology or some points there. Another thing is global trade war. That is, we have seen during his tenure the US-China trade war, and in which recently we have also seen that he said India is a tariff king, in a sense that India's tariff for the import of particularly American goods are so much high. Particularly, he naming some of the brands like Harley Davidson bikes and others. So for that, what they are concerned about, that it will raise the products price in India, and so the competitiveness of that particular bike will be lower compared to Indian counterparts. So these are the some concerns for the Trump administration during the first tenure. And uh, and there can be, we can say that economic uncertainty will be the thing or the factor where we can see the different kind of response from the second Trump administration this time. And famously he have said that how you treat us is how you should expect to be treated. So this is something we can see from these words, the 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 policy, the priorities of Trump administration even this time. Okay, proceeding ahead. Now, as far as India's interest is concerned, so why we need to have a forged, a strengthened bond with the USA, so we can navigate through these major headlines or major points. The defense corporations, if we see the India US defense corporations, this is one of the area where we India and USA are very much uh, relied upon. And these defense corporations are not only limited to the transfer of technologies or purchasing or buying of any acquisition of any technology, whether that is aircraft or other modern avionics or warfare equipments. But these are more than that. Defense cooperation, it means that so much of the logistic as well as intelligence sharings in this present era of the world, in which warfare is not limited to the conventional idea or conventional concept of warfare, but more than that, the battlefields are nowadays even that is also considered in the fourth dimensions it acquired, that is the cyberspace. So these kind of defense cooperation, India and US, in which both are very much committed to. And the second is partnership for critical technologies. All the critical technologies, we can say the semiconductors. This is more important because in during recently couple of years before, we have said that, we have seen that how China uh, withheld the supply of semiconductors to the India. So our automobile, our IT sectors, mobile manufacturing, these kinds of the all the sectors hampered, their production hampered, and we our productivity as well as production that came down. So partnership in these semiconductors as well as all the AI, robotics, these will be the important critical technologies. At the same time, the rare earth minerals. So these are the area where India and US is really, they look forward for their cooperation. And other things are next, over assertive Chinese posture. So this is one of the cause of concern for Indian point of view. Not only India but as well as USA. So because Chinese posture is not across the LSE, line of actual control in northern boundary of India, and the same time, Chinese uh, that string of pearls policy and Chinese association or Chinese that union with Pakistan in order to counter India's progress or India's forward march, and the same time Chinese presence across Indo-Pacific. And USA is also concerned about this Chinese influence over the Indo-Pacific. Because of that, recent we have seen that adversarial situation or hostility against the Taiwan and its sovereignty. So that's also attracted the United States interest as well as its ally members across the South China Sea, uh, namely the Vietnam, the Philippines, the Japan. So these and South Korea. So these all are at collectively are concerned against the Chinese influence over the South China Sea and Indo-Pacific at broader sense. So that's why China's this influence to be countered, and India and US partnership is very important, uh, and that's why India is also see US as a all-weather ally for this particular interest. At the same time, India's trade proliferation, we have seen that in the last year, last to last year, we crossed about more than both country crossed about more than $150 billion of trade exchanges, and we know that our Indian goods, they're the, the maximum export destination, the largest amount of trade volumes that exported from the India is the USA. So to USA, our Indian trades and services are uh, highest among other. So this is, in that point of view, US is also equally important for India. And the space exploration in this field particularly, like recently we have concluded during the year 2019 nisar, that mission, that is to understand the earth's uh, geography, earth's different uh, geographical terrains, and at the same time for the deep space communication, such as our Chandrayaan 3, in which we need a deep space communication, means remote distance communication, in which require a deep space communication. Deep space communication is simply a communication that is from the Earth to the far distant places like Moon, like in somewhere in the space. So in other planet like Mars or beyond. So these deep space communication is very important to exchange, to send the signals, the messages, to command the vehicle or any space craft. So that is very important. For that matter, India is also going to have, or it's also already forged some partnership and collaboration with the American NASA, that agency, space agency, along with India's ISRO. The second is balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. So that we have seen again, this is something, a kind of assertive Chinese posture to counter that, because this balance of power is very important in the Indo-Pacific, particularly for the peace and prosperity of the region, because this is not the reason, or this is something, a natural resource, the oceanic water, not only for the transportation, but as well as uh, more than that, like fishing, like mineral explorations. So and ecology and biodiversity of the region, these are very important, and that's why the any hegemony or monopoly like approach of any one country will harm the interest of others of the region. So in that case, we can take example of China is over influence or over stress across the South China Sea and the surrounding region. So this is the South China Sea or Indo-Pacific is not a property or not a asset of only one country, but more than those sharing the region will also have a equal stake. So that is what important, and that's why India-US relation and India's need for US is important. Okay, proceeding ahead. Now, next, in this is the table in which uh, I'll try to explain the major agreements during the Trump tenure as a first presidency, uh, India-US camaraderie that enjoyed between the two nations, and we can assess through the some of the major agreements being that signed, some of the major or key facts. Among them, first of all, is COMCASA, Communication Compatibility and Security Agreement. So this COMCASA that signed, it is not much important, but yes, you can remember it, year 2018, in which this particular deal agreement signed between the two nations. And this particular COMCASA is very important for our armed forces, particularly their secured communications and interoperability. So interoperability is very needed because we have not, suppose for the peace, for the Indo-Pacific region, we need a different kind of communication setup. Suppose our INS Vikramaditya, the aircraft carrier, is something uh, is navigating in the region. At the same time, the some of the USA warfare navies, carriers, or their destroyers are in that region, so that we can secure or we can exchange the communication for the better coordination, so that it can enhance the interoperability. It can exchange important vital communications or vital information, so that they can establish the objective of peace as well as stability in the region, any particular region. So this is very important, Komkasa. Earlier it was not there, so we have to rely only upon our systems of information as well as communication uh, establishments. So this is something that widened the scope of communication as well as interoperations. Next is VECA, Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement. This is very important for the geospatial intelligence for military operations. So, geospatial intelligence is important because of, suppose our aircraft, the Assault Rafale, or any reconnaissance drone is if in the operation, in a bid to identify any hostile object or any hostile situation across the boundary. In that case, we need a very detailed geographic terrains idea. So in this detailed terrain is important, where the hills are, where are the springs or rivers. So in that case, we need a very important data and information for our military operations. So in through signing this VECA agreement, it enables the both countries to exchange the geospatial intelligence. And the next is industrial security annex. This is important for uh, whenever our defense industries, those are working together to develop any common or uh, any project in which they need classified informations to be shared for that state of the art technology to be developed. So in that case, we need a protected, there are very high chances of leakage of the information, and if any leakages of this highly classified documents takes place, then in that case there will be the something that can threaten the development, or that can underestimate the development of any stealth like technology or any very secret or very important technology which may be going to give a edge over other countries. So this is something important. And next is LEMUA, Logistic Exchange Memorandum of Agreement. So this is this LEMUA was firstly uh, initiated during the Obama administration, but later on again reinforced, again carried forward by the Trump administration to access military logistic support. So this is particularly for the any for the example of any navy ship of Indian Navy, in operation or in navigation, can take a halt at the US established any naval base or a kind of an establishment for maybe refueling, for the replenishment, or maybe for the maintenance. So this is very unique kind of agreement. And other things are like both countries, uh, and very important thing is strategic trade status. This authorization STA1. So earlier, this some of the advanced technologies were not available to for the acquisition of for the India, but after signing this STA1, which earlier some of the technologies reserved for the NATO alliance only, but that also made available to the India after signing this particular STA1 agreement, or India given a STA1 status. So this is very important. Besides that, during the Trump tenure, we have also seen some of the advanced aircrafts and technologies like Sea Guardian drones with the 3 billion uh, that agreement deal, MH-60R Seahawk naval helicopter with utility purpose, Apache AH-64E, one of the advanced attack helicopter. Chinook CH-47 is a heavy lift helicopter and integrated air defense weapon system that is to foil or to counter any kind of air threat made towards India. So these are the Trump administration's uh, when during his first tenure made some of the major key agreements with India. So going to next. Okay. Now we also are very much aware or acquainted with that he, India's relation with US during Trump first presidency was very special because of the personal bonds between our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and the President Donald Trump. So we have seen that both were address the mass gathering. Like in the year, we have seen that Howdy Modi, that event happened or held at the Texas, in which our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji addressed the huge gathering of Americans as well as Indian diaspora in USA, and and but at the same time, here in the February 2020, we have seen that Donald Trump uh, had addressed the people at the Motera Stadium in Ahmedabad, near to Ahmedabad. Uh, so that, and as well as at that time, Ahmedabad trip or Ahmedabad road show also organized to welcome the Donald Trump. So these kind of events at the personal level as well as the camaraderie between two heads of nation uh, uh, we have seen. So it is very special for Indians to understand the Trump second administration and from the point of view of our first uh, presidencies examples as well as experiences. So if we try to understand that how Trump will going to be if here now is on Trump again. So he is very unconventional kind of leader, and on because his established pattern of geopolitics and history may no longer be applicable because he always checkmate the forecasting and predictions about geopolitics as far as Trump's administration is concerned. We have seen that if we can, if I may quote some examples, that his uh, outreach to North Korean that premier, and at the same time we have seen his uh, that certain hostility towards Iran. So these are the some examples that we can understand the uncertainty and his highly polarizing personality. And the flip side, our India's stance, what should be, then we can really look forward that our foreign policy, as far as uh, US or other nations are concerned, that we need to continue to emphasize our strategic priorities, that those are shaped by the history, economic interest, our geopolitics, national security, as well as civilizational identity. So these are the driving force of the India's foreign policy and outlook for the forging of any international relation, or that may be the bilateral or multilateral. And so, and for the India's point of view, what is going to be a central concern or central to India's foreign policy? No doubt that border security across our uh, whether western borders with Pakistan or eastern borders with Myanmar or China, as well as recently the unprecedented situation unfolded across the neighboring country Bangladesh. So our border security is very important. Military modernizations, whether that is advanced avionics, robotics, AI, and personal equipments for our armed forces, as well as their training. And countering cross-border terrorism is again one of the uh, utmost priority for India's foreign policy, uh, how it takes shape. And anti-radicalization, we have also seen that some of uh, uh, people or members of Indian origin or Indians, they join some of the radical organizations within India as well as outside India, including joining up some of the ISI like of that organization or factions. Strengthening intelligence is very important. Our external intelligence as well as our domestic intelligence, which is very important, and stability across Indo-Pacific. So that is to ensure the peace and prosperity, trade to be developed, and more than that or beyond. So these are the major concern or central points as far as India's foreign policy is concerned and being shaped by. And I would like to uh, end this session with the quote of a former Prime Minister of India on his very first state visit to the US during the Obama tenure. He stated that India, US are separated by distances, but bound together by their value or shared values of democracy, the pluralism, rule of law, and respect for fundamental human freedoms. So, with this positive note, I thank you all and take care.